Hey everybody, welcome back. HollywoodPizza here, and we're going to be playing some Gruul Midrange today. This is actually a deck that did really good in the MTGO tournaments. I can't remember which specific one it was. It was like maybe like a championship tournament, but what was really fascinating about the deck is that it actually played all Explore legal cards except for like the sideboard pretty much. So we also saw Jaffer play this version of the deck specifically. We made one change in it, but Jaffer actually ended up playing this to Mythic, so it's definitely a deck that you can use in the ladder and in the higher stages of the ladder, like Diamond, anything like that, and you're going to be able to grind your opponent out and get some wins on top of that. So let's go ahead and jump right into the deck. So to start off with, in our early portion of the game, we're going to be trying to cast our Llanowar Elves, our Elvish Mystics, so essentially 1 green for a 1/1. That taps for a green mana. This card ends up getting us to our 3 drops a lot sooner and a lot quicker. We also have 3 Reckless Rage, so 1 red. It deals 4 damage to target creature don't control, and 2 damage to a creature we control, so a lot of the time this is just going to be a straight up removal spell. Considering that a lot of our cards are actually pretty big on the butt side of it, with 3 toughness or higher. So that's our 1 drops for 2 drops here. We have a Scavenging Ooze, so a colorless and a green for a 2/2. You can exile a card from a graveyard for 1 green. If a creature card is exiled this way, it gets a +1/+1 counter, and you get to gain a life. So just a really solid card overall, where it can start to get counters and also gain some life on top of that. For our 3-drop slots, some of the cards that we're going to be able to cast of our Llanowar Elves here early is going to be Bone Crusher. Not only is it a good 3-drop that we can play off of the Llanowar Elves, it's also a really good removal spell early at a colorless and a red. So 1 red colorless stomp, 2 damage to any target, and damage can't be prevented this turn. And then you get to put it in the exile zone, and then you get to cast it as a 4/3 for 2 colorless and a red. Just a really phenomenal card. If you actually don't really have that much going on early in the game, it's its own curve because you can just kill something or do your opponent 2 damage and then cast the 3 mana 4/3 giant. So we also have here 3 Fable of the Mirror Breakers, so 4 of them, 2 colorless and a red. First part of the saga, you get a 2/2 red goblin shaman with whenever it attacks, it makes a treasure token. So we have 4 of those, and then the second part of the saga is you can discard up to 2 cards. If you do, you draw that many cards. And then we also have 3 Reckless Stormseekers as well, which help give haste to all of our creatures, essentially when this card is on the battlefield. So 2 colorless and a red. It's a 2/3 at the beginning of combat on your turn. Target creature control gets +1/+0 and gains haste until on a turn. So the reason I jumped over to this is because specifically, if you flip this over on the third part of the saga and you have Reckless Stormseeker out, you can automatically give your Fable haste, and then you can actually start to copy some of your important threats, like a Lovestruck Beast. So Lovestruck Beast, essentially another adventure here, 1 green, Heart's Desire. You get to make a 1/1 white human creature token, and then 2 colorless and a green. You get a 5/5 that can't attack unless you control a 1/1, so you can still block. Pretty chunky card on the battlefield, and we have a lot of 1/1s in the deck with our Llanowar Elves. The Heart's Desire itself can fuel it, and our Lair of the Hydras if need be. We have 4 of those, so we can just turn those into a 1/1 if we really need to attack with Lovestruck Beast. So our 3-drop slot, as you can see, just has a lot of powerful cards that are all like 2-for-1s. For the 4-drop here, we have 4 Seeker's Chariot, 3 colorless, and a green 4/4. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you get 2/2 green cat creature tokens, and then you can crew for this. Whenever this card attacks, you get to make a copy of a token that you control. So you can start to copy maybe like a goblin token, the cat tokens, or even some treasure tokens that you got lying around. And on top of that, it's a pretty good fair card. You end up getting 3 bodies for the price of 1. So really, really strong card overall in the deck. To round out the deck here, in our 5-drop slot, we have 3 Sky Sovereign, Console Flagship. So 5 colorless, it's a 6/5 with flying. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, it deals 3 damage to our creature or planeswalker and opponent controls, and you get to crew it for 3. And whenever it attacks, you get to deal another 3 damage. So overall, just a phenomenal card on rate. You're getting a really big flyer at 6/5, and then whenever it attacks or it comes in, you get to shoot something down. Let's say that your opponent has like a Karn. You can shoot that down, Liliana, anything like that, and then on attacks, you can kind of start to get away their blockers and kind of just whittle their board state down, all the while dealing them a pretty big chunk of damage. A 6/5 flyer is nothing to laugh at. For special lands, we actually just have 1 Sokenzin, 2 Bosejos, which is just a phenomenal card right now in the format. It's able to get rid of a lot of different problematic permanents, and it's really, really good against the Greasefang decks as well. We have 4 Lair of the Hydras to give us some creature lands later in the game when we need a mana sink, and it can also crew our vehicles if need be if we get to an emergency situation like that. For a sideboard here, we have 2 Abrades, which are really, really good against any type of artifact strategy or even creature strategies. Just being able to deal 3 damage to a creature is just great. And on top of that, you can use that Destroy Artifact ability against Greasefang or potentially just any type of problematic artifact, bank busters, anything like that that your opponent has. And Outland Liberator kind of does a little bit of the same, all the while being a really good threat. It's a 2-mana 2/2, and it has Daybound Nightbound. So you can pretty much just sack it to destroy an artifact or enchantment, or If it ends up flipping over to the night side as a trap breaker, then whenever it attacks, you just get to destroy something. That's an artifact or enchantment that defending player controls, so just a really, really phenomenal card for the specific matchups that you may need it for. We also have 3 Bouncers Beatdowns, just a great card against Greasefang, and a great card against a lot of different black strategies like Rakdos Midrange. You're able to kind of shoot down a Kalitas or maybe even like a Bloodtithe Harvester, anything like that. So Bouncers Beatdown, it costs 3 mana, but it costs 2 less if it targets a black permanent. And then it deals X damage to a creature or planeswalker, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. And then if that card actually dies, it gets exiled. So really, really great against Greasefang overall. We also have 2 Lava Coals here, colorless and a red. It deals 4 damage to a creature and exiles it. So just a really great card in any type of aggressive strategy. Kind of just like mirror matches where you're kind of just like grinding the game out and playing a little bit of that mid-range strategy. This card's really good against a lot of different threats right now in the format. And we also have 2 Unlicensed Arrests against anything that's going to be like a graveyard strategy, 2 colorless. We can tap it to exile 2 cards from a single graveyard, and then its power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards that we've exiled with it, and then it gets accrued 2. So another card that's just great against a graveyard, and another card that's just great against Greasefang, which you're going to see quite a bit on the ladder of, even in best of 3. To round out the sideboard here, we have 3 of Crone Wars, which is just another phenomenal card in the mirror match, and against any type of strategy that's playing big creatures, mono green. Even red deck, you just take like maybe like their Torben for a turn or for a couple turns, an Annex, anything like that could potentially just slow them down enough. And then on top of that, the final chapter can end up just wiping their board. So just a really, really solid card overall. It's also really good against control when they bring in cards like Dream Trawler, where you can just take the Dream Trawler if they tap out for it, and then now you're just hitting them, and then it can kind of just like escalate from there. But overall, just a card that we saw a lot in Standard, and a card that we're seeing again here in these sideboards as well. So with the deck itself, I think it's actually a really, really good deck in Explorer. It plays the fair game really well, and on top of that, you have sideboard cards to help against the strategies that you're actually going to be weak against. So I think for any tournament, this deck's going to be great, and of course for the ladder, it's really, really good. So overall, a deck that I definitely recommend. So let's go ahead and jump into some games. Going in with some Gruul here. Let's see if we can outvalue our opponents, rank up the ladder a little bit. Go on some adventures maybe. Going to be on the play to start the game, which is pretty nice. This hand is definitely questionable. We don't have our 3rd land to cast the Fable, and we need quite a bit of mana to cast the rest of our cards. We are on the play. I think we may just have to take a mulligan though, because we want to get some cards that we can cast, and this is way better. We can definitely keep this and put a Chariot back. And we have a Mystic on turn 1, followed up potentially by Bone Crusher, or maybe even the Stomp side, and then a Chariot on turn 3, which is really nice. And wow, drawing that Fable is way better, so let's go ahead and start the game off with that, get some value going already. Get a 2/2 Goblin token, and we have a removal spell plus a card that goes a little bit more over the top, which we like here. And it looks like our opponent has, Cleansing Wildfire to ramp themselves up and draw a card, which is really good. So we're up against red mid-range here, looks like. And I think that we won all of our cards. Let's get this Chariot down. Coming in for 2, get a token. Rather take the damage and get to keep the token. Okay, so they have a Fires of Invention. Let's see what they have to follow it up with. They have their own Fable, which we have a Stomp for, so we already have a good amount of value going on. We even have a Boseiju to get rid of their card. So I think we'll just Stomp here. Let's see, do we just want to cast this? We can also Boseiju and then still cast the Bone Crusher. Or either way, we can just do both. So let's Bone Crusher. Crew with that. Come in with everyone here. Make a copy of Goblin. Hit our opponent for a ton of damage, and then let's actually get rid of this Fires of Invention. Just because it lets them cast 2 cards for free. Like, yeah, Fable gets them a redraw. But I think I would rather do this. I'd rather them not get to cast some cards for free. Pretty much 2 5-drops is a lot scarier. Or, 2 whatever cards they were going to cast. I mean, right now our opponent has used their mana. And they're in a pretty tough spot. We just had a ton of stuff on the battlefield. Chrome War looks pretty decent here, depending on what they have in their deck. We're not really seeing anything yet. I think we do want the Outland Liberators. We can cut one of each Land War Elf because they're a little bit worse on the draw. Probably also get rid of Reckless Stormseeker. It's not as good either. We didn't really see anything to kill, but we know they probably play Bone Crushers. Let's see. We get rid of another Land War Elf type card and a Stormseeker and bring in Lava Coil and a Crown War. Crown War is not bad. Yeah, I think I like something like this. Stormseeker just gets a lot worse in creature matchups, I feel like, and on the draw, you're not always going to be going crazy, so I think that's fine. This hand is a bit rough. I think we have to mulligan. All we really have is a Scavenging Ooze, and then after that, we're hoping to hit some lands for this Asika's Chariot. This is kind of rough. I don't think we want to go down to 5, even on the draw. I'd rather just keep this 6, and yeah, if our opponent has a slow draw, I mean, we're looking okay. Crown War might be able to do something. And I don't think we want to run this out. They potentially just have a stomp here that they're just going to use on our face. Don't want to just run out the Scavenging Ooze into that. They play a Giant, it's okay. We have a Ooze that looks alright. Okay, so let's see if that is what they end up doing. Could just 2 for 1, but like ourselves, I don't really think that's worth it. Alright, Fable's pretty good. So Fable from our opponent is actually pretty decent. I think now we just get this down. Pass turn, hold up this Reckless Rage in case something happens. Obviously, we could have also kept up the Lair in case they discard some creatures to pump up the Ooze out of like a stomp range, but I think it's okay. I mean, if they play something big, we have a Crown War to just take it for a turn. We're not blocking this Goblin token anyways because there's nothing in the graveyard now. Gonna go down to 16. Opponent down to 4 cards technically with this Bone Crusher that we know about. Let's see if they end up playing it. And they just have a Stomp. I think that we should kill their Goblin token for value here. Just because it'll mean that they don't get the Bone Crusher side of this Stomp as well. It'll just fizzle out, so go straight to the graveyard. They can play this Bone Crusher now. And then we'll just take it with the Chrome War and then follow up with the Sky Sovereign as well. So, fortunately, we drew a little bit awkward there with the Lair of the Hydra, but we're just going to take this Bone Crusher here. Potentially get to attack with it. Let's see what we draw. So our opponent's cards have to attack on the following turn, so they'd have to use a Reflection sometime before that. We just need any land that comes into play untapped, and then we have the Sky Ships. If not, then still have the Sky Ships here. Probably put the Giganta on our hand. And then this Chrome War can potentially wipe the board on our opponent's side. And we don't hit an untapped land, but we have a Fable, which is pretty good. I think we're still crashing in for some damage here from the Bone Crusher. I think Fable's a lot better than just putting Giganta into our hand, even though Giganta can crew the Sky Ship. I think we still want to get Fable down. And they're going to get the Bone Crusher back. But the Bone Crusher should kill itself because it's already a tapped creature. We're going to Field of Ruin our Lair of the Hydra. That's fine. We already have so many, it doesn't really matter. Still have 2 more, and we have a Sky Ship coming down, so not really a big deal. At least for us. Okay, so Fires of Invention. Fable does have to attack, and we'll just take it. They get back the Bone Crusher. Wow, they're going to Anger. That's pretty interesting there. So they're not going to get back their Bone Crusher. Do we discard? I think we just get rid of one card. Yeah, I think we still cast Boat. We can cast Fable, and if we draw a land, maybe activate the lair. Or just activate the lair and crew the Skyship and start to come in for a lot of damage while killing the threats that they have on the battlefield. So here's a Karn. Pretty good. So they will get the down tick and get something good here from their sideboard they might be able to cast. So definitely not out of this game just yet. Our opponent has a really good card. We also can't use our Skyship. So what are they going to get here? We can cast our other Skyship and then kill the Karn. So I'm still really glad that we kept the other one. But they hit Golos, which is really, really good. It's going to help our opponent go over the top of us here, unfortunately. So they're going to go get a land and play tap. Those are both of their cards for the turn. We had a Love-Struck Beast. That's not really going to do it, though. Got to cast the other Skyship. Let's keep the one that can attack. Shoot down the Karn. And we'll pass turn back. So definitely in a lot of trouble now. Can't activate Golos just yet. Oh, another Karn, though. That's definitely a problem. Gonna down tick again. So because they have the Fires of Invention down, you can definitely see why we wanted to get rid of that earlier in their game, and they have their own Skyship to kill the Reflection, unfortunately. So that is going to die. Okay. Well, looks like we're going to have to get some of our beefy cards down here. Let's get this Love-Struck Beast going. Elvish Mystic. Fortunately, we cannot crew the Skyship because of the Karn. So our opponent's definitely going to get to go get another card out of their sideboard, potentially to put another big threat on the battlefield that we have to deal with, essentially. So yeah, they're going to down take. They could just get a Meteor Golem now, I think. Let's see, 7 mana. So they're getting a Combustible Gearhulk. That's pretty good. And I'd rather just take the 5 here, go down to 8. They have Terror of the Peaks. Their deck's quite interesting. Really big red deck. Gonna crew the Skyship here. Probably kill one of our toughness cards. Yep. And we don't have a block. So we do have to take it here. And opponent just has Cleansing Wildfire. So they're going to redraw and essentially get a land out of their deck as well. I think they only cast the Gearhulk so they can cast something else. So we had a Llanowar Elf. We can still block. Can't activate this. We'd have to attack here. And then be able to cast both. Yeah, definitely in a tough spot, so I don't think there's really any way for us to get out of that. I mean, the fact that they had the Karn going was pretty good. Could bring in the other Crone War. Let's bring in a second one. And I definitely know some things that they have. So we might want these Abrades, because we know they have artifacts. Maybe over the Lava Coil. Let's get rid of the Storm Seeker. And maybe a Giant or an Ooze. I think we'll still keep it like this, though. Let's try it out. I don't think we want all the Crone Wars, because we don't want to be in a position where we're drawing too much of our top end early either. Like, we kind of want a Crone War to hit at the right time. It did do a lot of work in this game, in game 2, but let's see how Game 3 goes for us here. Definitely want a little bit more of what happened in Game 1 where we were able to outvalue our opponent with just having a ton of creatures in play. And you can definitely see how even Asika's Chariot is a pretty fair card, but it starts to run away with the game rather quickly. Looks like our opponent's still on the sideboard here, which is quite interesting because we know that they play Karn, so they could just be thinking about whether or not they want to sideboard in some of their regular cards rather than just some artifacts that they can go wish for off the Karn. And if you haven't already and you're definitely enjoying the content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, bell notification, like, leave a comment down below. Would be greatly appreciated. We do host 3 tournaments a month. All are free to play with cash prizes, so definitely look in the description for some links, including my content as well. And we're going to be on the draw this time as well, so we're going to be a little bit slower out of the gates. Hoping to hit one of our mana creatures into a powerful 3-drop, and then we can start the beats going. And hit like a Chariot or Sky Sovereign pretty quick here. These would definitely all be ideal plays. And our opponent's still on the sideboard here, so definitely thinking about what they're going to do. And we're mostly just hoping for a good hand. If we can curve out, I feel pretty good about it just because we'll have some pressure on our opponent. They can definitely be a little bit slower, and I think this hand's good. We got lands, we even have a creature land as well. They're not ramping in anything crazy, maybe a Giganta later, but I think it's still pretty good. We have a Liberator that will be able to destroy the Fires of Invention if they do end up casting it. And we have a Scavenging Ooze that could grow as well, so let's see what happens this game. Laird's another card that as the game progresses, we have a lot of mana. We have something to dump it into. Time just came up now. And it looks like our opponent is actually timing out here. And we take down the match, but our opponent might have just lost our connection there for game 3, so let's see how the rest of our matches go.
This video is brought to you by MagicJank.com, the spiciest cards for your sauciest decks. Buy and sell Magic the Gathering products and gear today on MagicJank.com.
Playing some more Gruul Midrange here. See if we can grind our opponents out. And we're going to be on the play. I don't think that we can keep this hand though, unfortunately only 1 land. This is a lot better. Now, we could put back the Sky Sovereign. It's a little bit risky putting back a land because we might not draw land for our Asika's Chariot, but we also want to make sure that we hit some big boomy threats with the Sky Sovereign on time, so we'd definitely be relying on the top of our deck to give us some mana. Granted, we do have 20 lands left. So it's definitely a high risk, high reward here. I think I would rather avoid flooding out and maybe being screwed for a couple turns, knowing that we're just 1 mana away from casting this Chariot. I know that that's definitely risky, but at the same time, I mean, I think it's worth it. I really do. We just want to hit our big cards and get some huge advantage. So even if we stomp into Bone Crusher, it's not really that bad. And we end up drawing the 4th land anyway, so I feel pretty good about that keep. Because we can still cast Chariot. We still can curve out here on time. And it looks like our opponent is playing Spirit, so let's stomp our opponent here. I don't believe that they'll counter this. No reason not to. They might counter the Giant on the way down, which seems more likely. And let's play the Giant because that's known information. Next turn we can use both sides of this card. Okay, just a Rattle Chain, so our 4/3 can definitely still attack through that. Now, they could have a Curious Obsession, which would be quite a problem, seeing as how they'd have some mana open, and they still do have the Curious Obsession here, so we're going to go down to 17. Opponent could have a counterspell here for us. I think we're just crunching in, though, for 4. We can win this race. And I think we play Llanowar and try to Lovestruck Beast here. they have a counterspell, that's fine. We still have 5 damage on the battlefield that we're coming in with every single turn. Okay, Lofted Denial. On top of that, if they end up tapping out, then we have our Skyship to maybe shoot something down. Alright, so we're going to go down to 14 now. And still feeling pretty good about that. And they're just going to pass. We actually hit a creature land, which I like quite a lot. We can cast the Skyship. I think we just come in for 4. See what our opponent does. We still have Skyship and a Seeker's Chariot that we can cast, so they don't really do anything. And I think I'm just going to go for the Chariot here first. I'd rather the Skyship actually resolve because that's going to be a better threat. A consistent source of damage to kill our opponent's threats. And we have 1 mana available to us here off the land we're off. Opponent's going to go for an Illuminator. Okay, exile a card. So, pretty sure we're expecting... Wow, so Chariot actually resolves, which is pretty surprising. It means they might not have a counterspell, so the Skyship might come down next turn as well. If our opponent's mostly just trying to go for like an aggressive game plan here, it's pretty good for us because we're built to be more aggressive. So they can come in, though. This does put us at a 2-turn clock. Especially if our Skyship doesn't resolve. So we're going down to 7. Rattle Chains gets them a redraw. Now we're really hoping that the Skyship resolves here. I think we still get rid of Rattle Chains. Because it's a consistent form of card advantage. So let's see if the Skyship resolves. If not, then we're actually just dead here to their flyers. And yep, they have a Spell Pierce. So unfortunately, not able to get there this time. Let's see if we can move on to game 2 and do a little bit better. So let's bring in these Abrades. They're instant speed removal. Beatdown is also instant speed removal, but it's not necessarily a card that I care about. I think we just want the maximum amount of threats here. Ooze isn't necessarily the craziest card against them. And let's see. So we can get rid of maybe Fable because it's a little bit slower too. Could have maybe brought in the Lava Coals because it's just removal, but I think I just like playing on their turn. Like, against Spirits, you really just want to cast some cards on their turn. Alright, we're definitely going to keep this hand. We have Lair of the Hydras to start the game off, and we have quite a bit of a curve with these Outland Liberators into the Lovestruck Beast, so really liking where we're at. Okay, Mausoleum Wanderer is fine. Let's go ahead and attack. Probably not blocking. And we can cast Outland Liberator here, knowing that it is going to resolve, and then we'll probably have to pay the 2 life for the Stomping Ground, but that's fine. If our opponent passes, I mean, we have Frenzied Trap Breaker that is pretty decent sized. So I'm actually okay still just attacking here. And let's see if they tap out to try to kill this 1/1. If they do, then we have an Abrade. We can shoot the Wanderer down with it, so it looks like they're just going to take the damage. And I think we're just going to pass it back. I mean, we've got 2 creatures on the battlefield that are definitely dealing some damage here. And they're going to pump that up. That's fine. They have a Spectral Sailor, so they have a lot of cards on the battlefield. And we're hoping that this Abrade gets us there. We're going to take 3 here. That's fine. Definitely not a big deal. Could Abrade the Mausoleum Wanderer. I think I'd rather Abrade the card that they're going to play on the battlefield. Let's come in for 4. They're just going to take it. So we have Boseiju to get rid of the Haven. And we have a Braid to get rid of Mausoleum Wander. Could just abrade this now. Could have a counterspell for us, maybe for Lovestruck. Yeah, let's get another Trap Breaker down. It's going to come down as a 3/3 and we can pass. We have the Boseiju for the creature land if they really want to go that route. And they end up doing that, which is fine. Our Braid's more likely going to get counterspelled by the Mausoleum Wander, but I think I'm okay with that, especially if they're just not going to pump up their creatures. They have to play 2 cards to get out of the situation. I think it's worth it to try to go for it, but then they'd still have 4 mana. Yeah, I don't really think we have to. Let's play a land. Let's go and attack with both again. Opponent's just taking it, so we're at 12. We've got 2 instant speed cards we can use. Okay, Rattle Chains coming down. What is it targeting? The Wanderer. I think I would rather just shoot the Rattle Chains down. And then let's see if they sack the Wanderer to try to counter the Abrade, but we can just pay the 1 mana for it. Okay, they have a Shacklegeist. That's fine. So Wanderer's going to be a little bit bigger, but we can still kill the Rattle Chains. Yep. That's fine. Definitely in a bit of an awkward situation now because of the Shacklegeist. They can tap our creatures down. But this Boseiju is going to be clutch if they end up... Okay, so they're going to do that instead. I think we still have the Boseiju... We can Boseiju the Curious Obsession so they don't draw a card, but then they'd have that online. It's a little bit awkward, but I know that our Trap Breaker will be able to destroy the Curious Obsession on attacks. Obviously, they could play another spell, but they're actually not going to, so it's still really good for us. So let's attack. We're attacking with the Trap Breaker. Gonna blow up the Curious Obsession here. We're at 8. Pretty surprised that they didn't tap it down. So we could try to flagship, but that seems really risky. We could also just try to do this. That way we know we can also block the land in play. Okay, they just have Geist-Light Snare. That's fine. Completely fine with that. 2, 4, 5. So they're hoping maybe the Haven gets them there. But we have a Boseiju for it. So if they do attack, we have quite a bit of haste damage coming back for our opponent. And let's blow up the Faceless Haven. Hoping that this is enough to win us the game here. So they're going to go ahead and get an island into play. We're going to go down to 3. And they have Witness Protection, but we have Lair of the Hydra, which is going to be a 3/3, so we can just come in for 5. And move on to game 2. Or excuse me, game 3. So let's see what we can do here in game 3. Do we want the Lava Coils is the question. Potentially we do. It's a cheaper card than some of the other cards that we have in the deck. I think maybe we cut a Skyship and bring in some Lava Coils, potentially when our opponent's tapped out. Gonna be on the draw. Let's get rid of a Stormseeker. Stormseeker is maybe a little bit more threatening, I guess, than Fable, too. Because it gives anything that resolves haste, but then we also need that anything to resolve, so Let's still just cut those. I think it's fine. I like the card filtering from Fable and just so much more value than the Stormseeker just giving something haste. And I actually think we can keep this hand. It's a little bit awkward, but I think we can manage here. Let's go and get the Llanowar Elf down. So we have Reckless Stormseeker potentially into this Chariot. And then we're going to be able to deal our opponent a lot of damage if that does happen. So let's see if they just have a counterspell for us here. More than likely they do. Just going to try to jam our cards through it though. Yep, make them have to have it. Then we have 2 Chariots in a row. Obviously we could take some damage here, but we can also deal quite a bit of damage on the way back. This is only instants or sorceries, so our Chariot, even though it's a non-creature spell, it might resolve here. Hoping for just a Rattle Chains maybe from our opponent. Yep, so Chariot is going to resolve, which feels pretty good. So let's see. We're in an okay position here. We have a good threat on the battlefield. They might just make their Faceless Haven into a creature and block. This costs 5 mana to do, which is fine. If they come in with that, then we can just block it with the Chariot or double block it with our tokens. But I don't think the double block with the tokens is better. I feel like just blocking with the actual Chariot's probably where we want to be. Alright, just coming in for 3. Yep, seems pretty good. So we're at 16. We hit a land. Definitely not ideal. I think we have to play the other Chariot here, just to get a bunch of creatures on the battlefield. Keep the original. Get 2 more tokens. Crew. And I think we just come in with the squad. They got a Shacklegeist though, so they can tap down our Chariot. But they do have to keep some creatures back to keep doing that every turn. So we're just going to put them down to 16 here. And let's play another Llanowar Elf type of effect. So we have a pretty big battlefield. The problem is that our opponent could be hitting us back for a lot more flying damage, and we can't deal with that. So we're really looking for Bone Crusher or just one of our removal spells to kill the Shacklegeist, or maybe even one of their other cards. We have enough mana to pay for the Mausoleum Wander if they end up sacrificing it. If they tap out for this, let's see, so it's 8, 9. So they end up coming in for 8. That is a 2-turn clock. So is this. They can still tap our Chariot down. So we need a removal spell here really badly. Let's see, that's 9. So we hit a Skyship. Skyship's not bad. We'll see if it resolves. It can block. It will also get to shoot something down. So let's kill their Shacklegeist. Yep, gonna kill the Shacklegeist here. They'll probably tap one of our creatures down, but then they would just take a ton of damage, so I don't think that's a good idea. We'll get the crew here and attack, make another token. Yep, get to make another cat token. Potentially hit our opponent for 4 here, get them down to 12. And Skyship is back to block, so we'll pass it back. We have plenty of ways to crew it. Opponent has 1 card in hand here. So they're going to attack with just this creature. Do we block with the Skyship? It's more than likely that we do. And then they have to spend 4 mana to pump this up to a 6/6. And then it'll trade with the Skyship. So let's see if these sequences happen. If they bounce the Sky Ship, we're pretty happy because we'll just get to play it again. So if they want to spend 4 mana, that's fine. Okay, looks like our opponent actually didn't do the right one here, though. So yeah, our opponent actually just ended up misclicking, so we got another victory here off of our opponent just making a mistake. But let's say they do pump it up, and then this just dies. Next turn, let's see. We can crew the chariot and start attacking. They don't have this anymore, and then we still have enough blockers. So I actually think that we turned the game around anyways, even if they hadn't made that mistake. We would have just traded with the Spirit, but I mean, obviously we got pretty lucky there, the misclicked, and then after that, I mean, we just have such a board presence that they can't do anything about it. So I think everything still went the way we wanted it to go. If anything, we could have just even taken the 6 here and then gotten back to our turn and just come in for a ton of damage, but they had enough blockers to survive. So I think us just making the block here and forcing them to have to use their mana was probably the right play, but let's go and see how our next match goes. Looking for the latest comic book to add to your collection? How about the last card for that Magic the Gathering Commander deck? Well, the comic book stores got you covered. Shop online at comicbookstore.tcgplayerpro.com or come in person at 30 North Main Street, Glassboro, New Jersey. Grinding it out on the ladder here with some Gruul Midrange. Let's see how this matchup goes for us. We're going to be on the play, and I actually think this is a pretty capable hand. I don't really think there's anything too wrong with it. It's obviously slow, but, you know, once we get this Fable down, or if we draw a 4th land, we're going to have Fable into Chariot, so I don't really think it's all that bad. And we end up drawing a land anyway, so we're going to have a Fable here. Looks like we're up against Spirits again. Seems to be quite the popular matchup. And let's play this as a green. Let's go try to get Fable down. I don't really see this card resolving. Yep, there's a snare. But we do have Chariot followed by another Chariot here, so we're slamming down some really good cards that our opponent has to deal with or have counterspells for. So if they just end up running out of counterspells, then our cards are going to start to resolve. And then we're feeling pretty good about it. So another counterspell from our opponent, that's fine. They have a Phantom here. So let's see if our Asika's Chariot actually resolves this time. And they have another Geistlight Snare. We're going to play a Llanowar Elf. And it looks like our Jegantha could end up doing quite a bit of work in this match for us. Okay, going to activate the Faceless Haven, so we're taking a lot of damage here. I think we just take it for a turn. We hit a Boseiju, so that's actually really good. Let's get this Jegantha into our hand and pass turn back. So we'll be able to use this Boseiju and the Reckless Rage on our opponent's cards. Alright, so they use that now. I think that's okay. That's fine. That's okay. We could have done it when they're tapped out. That's probably maybe the best reason we wanted to do that. But yeah, let's let our opponent attack. That way they attack out. We'll go ahead and Boseiju. The Faceless Haven. Let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6. We also take 1, so that's going to be 7. So we're just going to go down to 1. So yeah, our opponent definitely had a super fast start here for us, so we're not able to take that down in game 1. So let's bring in our removal spells again. Our Outland Liberators are pretty good here because it's just going to flip to nighttime. Most of the time, let's get rid of these cards here. Get rid of another Stormseeker, I think. Maybe even another Fable. It's just a little bit slow. Or I was thinking Skyship, but Skyship is still pretty good. Bouncer's Beatdown's a removal spell. Let's try this out. We have all of our removal and we still have some late game cards. I know last matchup we got rid of our Skyship from the board because it's such an expensive card, so that might have been an option here, but I think we'll just chug along and give this another shot here. Gonna be on the play. I think this is definitely a capable hand. We have a removal spell, a threat and some other late game cards, so we're definitely just going to snap this off here, no question. Just kill the Mausoleum Wanderer now while we can. That way they can't just Geistlight snare us on turn 2. We can get this Reckless Stormseeker down. Should resolve unless they have a Lofty. If they do, then that's fine. Then they'll still have to tap out to get some creatures down for this Chariot maybe to counter it. So we're mostly just slamming our threats here. Ether Gust. I don't think that we want that on top. It's a good card, but I'd rather try to Chariot here. And maybe hit our 5th land for the Sky Sovereign, so... Yep, definitely getting a Supreme Phantom down. Let's go ahead and try this Chariot. If it resolves, and they just have a Spectral Sailor in response, so got a bit lucky that that wasn't a Spell Pierce or a Counterspell. So we're going to take some damage, which means that they probably have a way to deal with this Chariot. If not, then we're feeling pretty good about this attack here. We're just going to get to come back for more. And we'll get to copy one of our tokens. Our opponent actually just had nothing, so I think I'm okay playing Mystic and holding up both of these removal spells. So let's end the turn. Alright, so they have Spectral Sailor. I'm going to try to kill one of the other Spectral Sailors here. And they have a Rattle Chains, so... yeah, that's fine. Let's kill their Lord. Really happy about that. Yeah, they can protect their card here, so we don't get a Bone Crusher, but we have a way better board presence now against them than we did before. And we might even be able to get the Skyship. Opponent tapping out, so you definitely like to see it. Let's go and get this Chariot going. Coming back in for 6, and we get to make a token. So let's see if they tap out for their land. That's really good. And they're just going to trade. They're tapped out, so we just play Boat. Shoot down a Rattle Chains, and our opponent's just going to concede. So had a lot of pressure and had the cards that we needed there against our opponent. So do we want to make any changes? Maybe make the deck leaner. Don't really think so. I think that we're pretty good where we're at here. Yeah, I think we're pretty good where we're at. Obviously, like, there's an argument to bring back some of the 3-drops, because if we go Land-Aware Elf on turn 1, we really want to hit one of our 3-drops on turn 2, but at the same time, I think it's okay. I'm not really sure if that is going to matter too much. This hand is fine. We have mana to cast our cards, and we have a removal spell. We just need a consistent threat to deal damage with, so really looking for a 3-drop here, because our Braid is going to be really good on end step to maybe kill this Mausoleum Wanderer and then hit a card that we need. So a bit unfortunate we drew a land there. It's looking more like Gigantha's probably going to be the card that we're going to get into our hand. So they have Spirit, so they got a really, really fast start here. We're going to go down to 17. We hit a Elvish Mystic. We can shoot one of these down. I think it's better to hit the Mystic to try to hit the Chariot next turn. We could block, which would make them have to spend mana. But I think we'll just take the damage instead. That's fine. Go down to 14. And they have to have a counterspell here, right? I would think so. So is it better just to Lovestruck Beast? Might use their mana on the Spirit. If not, then it's more than likely a counterspell. Let's try to get the Chariot down. Let's see if they just have creatures in their hand. Spectral Sailor, sure. So Wanderer's going to get a little bit bigger, and they're going to pump up the Spirit, so... I mean, we're able to get the Chariot down. They can tap out and make that a 4/4. And then our Braid wouldn't be all that great. So, let's see what they do. Definitely going to be pretty interested here. They have some okay attacks. They just have to tap out for the Spirit if they want to make it a 4/4, but then I feel pretty good about that. So it's kind of weird. I'm okay double blocking. Let's see if they pump up the spirit, that's fine, or they're just going to go to damage, okay. So they kill one of the tokens, but they lose one of their good cards, and then they just replay another one. I'm okay with all of these plays that our opponent's making here. We'll make a 1/1. Let's crew and attack. Make a copy of the token. So our opponent, I'm really hoping they tap out. If they do, then they're in a really bad spot here. So they're going to tap out. Yep. I think we just abrade here. And our opponent's actually just going to concede. So another quick match for us. We got pretty lucky. We had double removal spell, and our opponent didn't really have anything going on. You can definitely see the true power of this deck where it just starts to go over the top of whatever it is that your opponents are doing. So let's go and see how another match goes.
Pizza people, are you enjoying the content? Don't forget, subscribe to the channel. It's free. Hit that bell icon as well. That way, anytime any of our new content comes out, you're able to see it right away. Hey, leave a comment down below as well. Tell us what you're going to play in the next event, or tell us what you're enjoying about the video. Don't forget, check out the description too. We've got tons of great content down below. And on top of that, we're going to have our tournament schedule too. So get in on it. Hope to see you.
Playing some more Gruul Midrange on the ladder here. See if we can keep it going. Been doing pretty good with the deck so far. Going to be on the draw to start this match though. And I actually like our hand. We've got quite a bit of a curve with Heart's Desire into Scavenging Ooze and then Storm Seekers. So I actually like this. We might be able to be a bit aggressive even if we are on the draw. Opponent does take a mulligan here. And let's see if they have a Thoughtseize for us. And they do. So more than likely that the Lovestruck Beast actually goes away because it's a 2-for-1. And it also helps our curve out. But it looks like our opponent actually ended up going for the Scavenging Ooze, which means that they probably just don't have a Fatal Push then, because they didn't want to see us curve out, or maybe they're playing Greasefang, because they got rid of the Ooze and it looks like they are playing Greasefang, so definitely in some trouble here. And they're actually going to kill our creature. So definitely not the start that we wanted, but we are going to get this Mystic down. Get to have Stormseeker next turn. Okay, our opponent just hits the Greasefang into the Asika's Chariot, so might be in a bit of trouble here in this match. And they're able to hit us for 4. Get a copy of the token, so Greasefang definitely doing its thing here. Which means that we don't have any good attacks right now. Let's go ahead and get this Lovestruck Beast with another Llanowar Elf type card on the battlefield. And let's pass it back. And our opponent has just another Witherbloom command, so they're going to mill. They hit another Chariot on the graveyard, so they're going to get that back. Going to get to crew it, and we're just going to take a ton of damage here. Unfortunately, our opponent just has a lot on the battlefield right now, so let's see, that's 10. I guess we just block the Greasefang, take all the damage here, down to 6. Not really enough cards in our hand to block. Bone Crusher does help. Bone Crusher, let's see, so we stomp this, we can block 3 of them, go down to 2. And we'd still only block 2 of them, go down to 0, so yeah. Opponent was able to Greasefang us there in game 1. Let's bring in these Unlicensed Hearse, Outland Liberators, these are Braids. All the cards are going to be good against them. Bouncer's Beatdown is another card that we could also bring in here. It's not bad. It's going to be removal. I don't think that we want the Stormseekers here. Can even maybe cut a Fable. I guess Fable gives us a reasonable threat. Scavenging Ooze, we can get rid of these. Sky Sovereign. This is definitely not the match for it, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think that we want the Sky Sovereigns. We can win with our other cards. Let's see. Get rid of a Fable and bring in another Bouncers. I think we should be okay with that. I really don't think that we want the Skyships. Like, yeah, we can use it to block, but if we're using it to block, we're in a pretty bad spot. So, it's a little bit of a slow hand, but at the same time, we do have a Scavenging Ooze here, and we know that that card is really good against them. So, if they don't have a way to get rid of it out of our hand or in play, then we're looking pretty good. And let's see if they have a Thoughtseize. Okay, Stitch of Supplier. So, already starting with the shenanigans a little bit. We do have a Scavenging Ooze here to potentially start to eat the graveyard. No attacks. No real reason not to. And they have a Rafine's Informant in the graveyard, so we're really just looking for any land off the top. Especially one that produces green. Okay, they just hit an Informant here. That's fine. And we do hit a land, so that's really, really good for us. Could play Lovestruck, but I actually don't really like playing the Lovestruck here. I would rather just hold my mana. Could have also played that as a green source. But, yep, opponent's already going to go for some shenanigans here, so got to get rid of some cards. We have a Bouncer's Beatdown we can use, but it's not really all that useful. So a bit unfortunate. Ooze does go down. We're looking for any land off the top now, because we need to be able to hit this Bouncer's Beatdown and the Lovestruck Beast, or else we're definitely in a tough spot. Okay, Takanuma going back to their hand. And we're going to take some damage here. Alright, so we hit a Stomping Ground. Like to see that. Alright, let's get a Lovestruck Beast down, and then we just have this Bouncer's Beatdown if it comes down to it. We can kill the Grease Fang with our Lovestruck Beast on the battlefield. So, really hoping for that here. It's kind of our only hope right now. Okay, Rafine's Informant. Really looking to draw land, as then we can get our own Chariot down and then start attacking our opponent for some value. They get a Skyship down, that's fine. Gonna pay some life. And they're gonna get the Grease Fang back, but we do have a Bouncer's Beatdown for it, so we're able to just exile it out of play now. And they don't have another Grease Fang in the graveyard, so they're gonna need another one. And we're looking pretty good here. We can potentially make a 1/1 token, and the Abrade actually is pretty huge, so let's go ahead and do this here. Gonna come in for 5. Let's see if our opponent just like gang blocks this, and then we just have the Abrade here to give us some advantage. But it looks like they're just gonna mill, and we're pretty happy with that. We have an Abrade plus this Bouncer's Beatdown that's gonna stop whatever they're gonna do. And it looks like our opponent actually put some fair cards in their deck, like the Briarbridge Trackers. And yeah, target that. So Grease Fang just gonna get exiled out of play. So they can't reanimate it. They can attack. We can just take that. That's fine. We'll go down to 11. Alright, so we draw an Outland Liberator, which is just fantastic here. Able to come in for 5. Get our opponent down to 11. We can pass it back. And feeling pretty good about our position right now. We have some blocks if we need it. We have an exile spell, or excuse me, a destroy spell with this Abrade if it really comes down to it. They can Takanuma to get back their Briarbridge Tracker, which is still going to cost them most of their turn. I don't think that we want to use this Abrade if they kill our Liberator. I'd rather just like take the damage. Yep, going to go down to 8. To pass back, then this turns into a 3/3, which can attack through their 2/1. And if we draw a land, we can play the other Lovestruck Beasts and still hold up the Abrade, which I'm pretty happy about. So that's definitely where we're trying to get to right now. And maybe even top deck a Scavenging Ooze. So we just hit a Stomp, which is fantastic as well. So we can just come in for damage here. And we're just going to come in for 8. And our opponent might just have a removal spell, so they have a Terra Sunder. That's fine. It's gone. And they're probably going to take this. Pretty okay with that too. Let's pass turn back. So if they just go to attacks, we still have 2 removal spells, plus we have something if they bring back their Skyship. We can blow it back up again. Even though they definitely get some value from it, but right now that's alright. Yep, so they're going to come in with both. Just the 2-1? I mean, we take that. We're at 8. We can take 2 damage here, go down to 6. And, okay, they have a can't stay away for the Briar Bridge tracker. Seems pretty decent. Let's just shoot down the informant. Let's see here. During their own turn, so we wouldn't get it. 3, 6, it's not going to be enough. Yeah, that's fine because we can attack, blow up the token, which makes this a 2/3. So we just attack with this. We blow up their clue. This goes back down to a 2/3. We deal them some damage. We play an ooze. And we still have a braid open. So definitely locking this game out a bunch of different ways against our opponent right now. And they just have a Terra Sunder. That's fine. We'll just get rid of Rafine's Informant. And we'll also get rid of, let's see, the Sky Sovereign. We could get rid of a creature so that way we gain the life. I think that's like a little bit better. Let's gain some life instead. Still have the Abrade. Could attack. We just block. And then we just kill them with the Lair of the Hydra. Yeah, so they don't even have any good attacks right now. We still have a Braid. Feels pretty good. Play this as a green source. We just attack here with our Trap Breaker. I think that's fine. They just have to double block. We still trade with one of their cards. Could have braid one of them. I feel like I kind of like that. Just to braid this. Yep, just to braid that. Kill that. Pass turn back. Yeah, our opponent's going to pack it up. We still have the Trap Breaker in play, and then we can pretty much just kill them with our creature land as well. So a little bit lucky there that we just had a lot going on. Don't really think we have to change anything. Just hope to hit our sideboard cards against them, our removal spells, our Scavenging Oozes, or the Unlicensed Hearst is definitely like a key card in this matchup. So let's see if we can get some threats and our sideboard cards show up again in game 3 here. That's really all that we can hope for against this deck, or else they're going to get to combo us pretty quickly. So definitely had a bit of a disadvantage if they do that. And our hand is a little bit fast. I think that we keep it because we can get the Seeker's Chariot down pretty quickly. And we actually can get Bone Crusher too. So yeah, we can definitely get some things going quick. Obviously, if our opponent combos out, then definitely in a bit of trouble. So they hit Wither Bloom and they hit a Parahelion into the graveyard. You definitely don't want to see that. So we might be getting Greasefanged here, obviously, if that happens. In a really bad spot here. No way for us to deal with the Parahelion coming down. Really needed one of our sideboard cards here. Fortunately, we didn't hit it, so Let's see if our opponent does have the Grease Fang. They actually just have a portable hole for the Mystic, which I'm pretty happy with. And they did have the land, but surprisingly didn't play it. So I think we just get this Lovestruck Beast down. So we didn't get Grease Fang there. There's still a chance we could. Opponent just going for a Chariot. And we have a Sekenzen. I think we just come in for 5 and then play our own Chariot here. Or we can also just Lovestruck Beast again, which feels pretty good. I kind of just like the Chariot because it gives us just as many cards as they have on the battlefield. And if they're playing fair, then we're in a pretty good spot to play fair as well. Obviously, if they just hit a Grease Fang, we just lose the game. So we're really hoping to dodge that in the next few turns here. If they want to crew up, that's fine. So they'll just get 1 cat token. We can take 4. I think we just take it, because we can just almost kill them next turn. If we hit a land, they're pretty much just dead unless they have a removal spell. Okay, Skyship coming down is pretty good. So they get to kill the 1/1 or one of the tokens, it's fine. So they're at 14. We do have a land. So let's see here. We're at 14, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we're still looking for 2 damage somewhere. We're going to take 6 from the Skyship probably. Can also activate the creature land. 2, 2. So we can attack with both. But also like just getting the hearse down, or maybe even the Bone Crushers get 2. There's a lot of things we can do here. And leave back a blocker. So I think we can make a 1/1. We can stomp this. Crew. We're at 14. That's 10. They're looking for 4 more. I think we have to play it safe for 1 turn. We attack. Make a token. Get them down to 8 and play a hearse. So that way we still have a card that can deal with their graveyard in case they do Grease Fang. So we have our opponent at 8. We're at 14. They have 3 cards left. They have a pretty good battlefield is the thing. Now, we do have some blockers on the ground which help us, so they're going to crew there. That's fine. Okay. And they're going to attack with just the Chariot. So I think we block with just a cat token here. Yep, gonna go to damage. And let's see what they have to follow up with. So they don't have anything. Let's exile 2 cards. The 2 most important cards out of their graveyard. So we hit a land. We can crew both of our cards and come in for lethal, I believe. We're at 12. Maybe we don't come in with the hearse. Let's see, if we come in with both, and they still can only block 1 creature. I actually think that we like kind of almost have to go for it here. We're at 12. They're at 8. Right now we know that they can only block with 1 card. They can't block with the Skyship unless they play something at instant speed. They could just have a removal spell. If they do, then they do, right? I mean, there's not really much else we can do here, I think. We just have to go for it. Yep, gonna crew. And we're just gonna come in for lethal. Try to come in here. Let's see what our opponent has. Could have a fatal push, which would be definitely be unfortunate. Yep, gonna swing, make a cat token. And let's see if they have a way of powering up their cat to maybe block with the sky ship would be pretty good, or do they just have a removal spell so they have a Heartless Act? Okay, they block there. So they go down to 2. And let's see if they have something for us. I mean, they have to put a card in the graveyard and then reanimate it, and they have to do a lot. We still have a blocker. Even if they kill it, we might still be okay. Definitely a bit aggressive there. They did have the Heartless Act for us, unfortunately. So, in a tough spot. If they have... Alright, they have a Grease Fang. So, they're going to crew the Sky Ship. And they're probably going to kill the cat token. That's only 10, so they need to have a Witherbloom command, which they could have. So they're going to kill that. We're going to go down to 2. If they have Witherbloom command, that's pretty much the game. They actually do not. And we take down the match 4-0 so far with Gruul Midrange against some really unfair decks, and we're just pretty much playing some fair Magic here, and our sideboard cards definitely showed up there. The Alliance's Hearse was clutch. Luckily, we were able to exile the 2 cards that mattered, so the turn that we came in to get them to 2 didn't matter as much. It might have just been a little bit too aggressive, but it ended up paying off in the long run. So we'll catch up with you in the post-game wrap. And we're back for the post-game wrap here. So as you can see, the Gruul deck, we ended up going 4-0 with it. Just a really, really phenomenal deck. It plays a fair game very well, and if your opponents don't really have an answer to what you're doing, you're pretty much just going to beat them down really quickly. With Love-Struck Beasts, Bone Crushers, Scavenging Oozes, Sky Ships, and Asigas were just phenomenal when we needed them, and as you saw in that Grease Fang matchup, our sideboard cards definitely showed up, like the Unlicensed, the Bouncers Beatdown, and the Scavenging Ooze. So overall, I think this deck has tons of game against what the metagame has to offer in Explorer. Definitely recommended for the ladder or tournament. Speaking of tournaments, we do host 3 a month that are free to play, so definitely check out links to that and my content in the description below, and I hope that you stay cheesy.